Hi, it's Theresa Steele with 101 Lakes Living, and today I have with me,
Lawrence Curtis.
all right, Lawrence. Thank you for joining me today, and we're going to do a veteran spotlight. So I have a few questions I'm going to ask Lawrence, and the first one is, what is your most memorable experience while you were in service?
That would probably have to be a one-on-one. Um, I, in turn, infantry,
Hmm.
walked on the tail of a company. Um, we had circled around a tall grass, and I was the last one. Which, when you do this, you walk backwards,
Oh, okay.
and in order to keep your perspective as to where you're at and what's going on around you.
Okay.
And anyhow, as I come around this swamp area, I'm coming uphill, and this is kind of downhill, so to speak. But pretty soon I realized there's a Vietcong right there, and consequently I had taken and we had both been caught off guard,
Oh,
and
okay.
and so we were both at a position. We had our rifles in the air,
Hmm.
and we were probably as far apart as from here to that wall over there where the thermostat is.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And we stared at each other, and we stared at each other for probably a minute. And then it was kind of like we waved at each other.
Okay.
Okay. And and then I could tell he was getting very antsy. He couldn't sit still.
Hmm.
And and then ended up he didn't say nothing. He just up the hill to me, and I went up the hill. Okay. Now I got and I walked up the hill backwards. I kept my eyes on him all the time.
Hmm.
And as we got up there, I'm probably 3 times this distance away from him,
Hmm.
and step into the jungle before I make my run for it.
Hmm.
And then I realize which way did the company go. A
Oh,
minute they're traveling,
right.
a minute of traveling, you can't tell where they went.
Okay. Wow.
So then I took, and my sense of judgment said they must have went that direction. And lo and behold, I did run into some of my troops then at this time.
Okay.
Now this was in my latter month that I was in the service, and I kind of had let's see, what do I want to call it? Probably a bad attitude
Mhm.
towards reporting such stuff. And so I kept it on my own, kept it to
Mhm.
myself.
Mhm.
And but I was on guard that night, and which I was on guard every night. But anyway, this was just something that I had done anyhow.
Mhm.
That it was as close as I would have gotten to the enemy, and without shooting at him.
Mhm.
And we were both in an un. We both were on an unusual situation of being that close, because if one of us would have made a lunge to aim our rifle, why so would have the other.
Right.
And then it's a Kentucky standoff as to who gets who. And anyway, that's a very memorable
It
thing that
sounds
I
like it.
that I don't mention to many.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
So the next question I have is, tell us about. So you were in the army,
You would say again?
the branch that you served in. You were in the army.
Yes, I was in the army.
Okay. And where were you stationed?
Which time?
Okay. So tell
Let's
us the
see.
dates
See,
that you were.
I started off in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Went from there to Fort Lewis, Washington. Went from there. Now there again. Now I received You want the details on all this too?
Well, we can keep it brief, and if you want to
Okay,
tell me
well,
where you were stationed and like if you know the time frames.
okay. Anyhow, at Fort Lewis,
Hmm.
I received an award
Okay.
from a trophy they give us,
Okay.
and there's only one passed out,
Oh.
220 troops,
Okay.
and I was the only one that maxed the PT score.
Okay. What's the PT?
Oh, PT, physical proficiency.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the where we tore M79s down, reconstructed them.
Oh. Okay.
Everybody done this.
Hmm.
M16s, tore them apart, put them back together, and whatever. But
Okay.
and I maxed the. It was like I think 12 questions, and I got all of them correct. Somebody usually ended up didn't get one right or took too long putting something back together.
Okay.
And anyhow, that was at Fort Lewis, Washington,
Okay.
and and it was at that time that I knew we were going to Vietnam. Didn't know what Vietnam was before that,
Okay.
and consequently, then I signed up for. They gave us an option of NCO school or officers training school.
And I hate to ask this too, but what's NCO school?
NCO is non-commissioned officers,
Okay.
and that's okay. But I knew I didn't want to be an officer, so I figured I'd go to the NCO school.
Okay.
So I went to Fort Benning to the NCO school, got through that okay. Now I'm a flying E5, and went back to Fort Lewis, Washington, then for my on-the-job training, so to speak,
Okay.
and which consequently uh, I was right into the military. I thought that would be my career, okay, and which consequently I took and had dealt with this for quite a while, and I ended up people that got my attention. Uh, anyway, they took and and you're going to have to re-ask this question.
So we were asking about the different branch or the different places that you were stationed.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, I received a trophy there too.
Okay.
There were 16 of us
And where
non-commissioned
was this
officers.
at?
This is Fort Lewis, Washington. No, no, no. This is at oh boy, cannot remember the name of the place. On the West Coast.
So somewhere in California?
Yes, California. Oh,
You know what? We'll go ahead and you can just let me know the details, and then later I'll fill it in the
okay.
description.
Yep. Anyway, I I was quite strict, straightforward with everybody, and anyhow, it worked out really good that we they had this thing that I ended up got a and in these awards,
Hmm.
well, the one at Fort Lewis,
Hmm.
that there came in a auditorium completely filled with the troops. There must have been 600 or so in there at least, and then this here was when we were I'm fishing for that name too. Anyway, we had taken and this was on a parade field, all up and down where they had everybody, at parade rest, and then they called me out and had me come up and get this award, and they took and it was at that point when Sergeant Green, a guy I'll never forget him, uh, he said that he said where you're going. He said usually with this award we'll give you a rank. He said, but right now I'm going to do you a favor. I'm not going to give you the rank. And he said that, and I figured this out later. Okay, once I got to Vietnam, I figured it out that anyhow you didn't want rank
Oh,
because
okay.
you would have been up the ladder right away.
Oh, okay.
And
So more responsibility?
yeah, oh yeah, oh they all come together.
Okay.
And that was really from there. We I went to I went back to the United. I went home for a couple of weeks. Yes, and then we had a flipping pancakes. Anyway, they gee, they took and anyway, my brother he went also,
Hmm.
and he went about 2 weeks before me, and which I thought that was pretty good, and we ended up. He had orders for Vietnam too,
Okay.
and we both had orders for Vietnam. And
Was he also
what?
in the army?
Pardon?
Was he also in the army?
Yes, he was in the army also. And anyway, we took and went to our duty stations, and it was probably 2 months into my stay there that I realized that he didn't make it to Vietnam.
Oh.
His orders got transferred to Germany,
Oh.
and
Okay.
this here was that sounds it sounds okay. Well, the thing of it is, the army didn't play it that way. Two brothers, same war, same time. Um, they didn't do that. They learned from the prior wars not to mix them up, because sometimes both
Hmm.
brothers would get terminated.
Right. Yeah.
And
And that'd be too hard on the family.
yes, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And the army had a whole lot more in me than they had in my brother, and so consequently, I ended up being you might say I was the guinea pig.
Oh.
But anyway, that was that. How far is this supposed to go?
Just right now, I'm just asking about the different places where you were stationed. So
Yes.
does that cover all of them?
Yes, that pretty well covers most of all of them.
Okay. So my next question is, since your time in service, how has your perspective shifted? So you spent time in Vietnam, and since that time, how has your perspective shifted?
Well, I probably the most dramatic thing that took place was that I got an opportunity to go with 7 pastors and 7 regular veterans,
Okay.
and which we ended up in Vietnam. That would take longer than we've got to tell you that whole story.
Okay.
But anyway, we soon learned that you let's see, how do I say this? Well, you don't ask a lot of questions when you get over there.
Okay.
I'm talking going in 2005
Okay.
for a return trip about 35 years later.
Hmm.
Anyway, you end up you keep your mouth shut and you just keep moving. Okay. Well, we come to find out that we were told to when they go, that means shut your mouth.
Okay.
Okay, and that means be quiet.
Hmm.
And so we did, and consequently uh, we traveled we traveled that country in good shape, and I'm going to say right down to the last day that we were the last full day that we were there.
Hmm.
We were going to have a get together, and with these uh, 5. Now there was like there was more Vietnamese families around. They had tables like this, but there was probably 3 or 4 tables set up. That 3 or 4 is probably being mild about it.
Okay.
But anyhow, the lady who sat next to me, I said, "You got to have questions," and she's and finally, I'd prodded her to speak up, and she said she then they came back around the second time, and she said, "Well, yes," she said, um, "Why did you guys leave us?"
Oh.
And I'm like,
And this is a Vietnamese.
"This is a Vietnamese."
Okay,
And
lady.
this is a Vietnamese. This is South Vietnamese,
Okay.
and instead of a North.
Okay.
And I couldn't answer her. I stood there spellbound. I couldn't answer her. She asked a question to the group, and they had no answers either.
How old was she?
She was probably,
Was she close to you in
yeah,
age?
she was probably close to me in age.
Okay, so she was a
Yeah,
young
she
lady
would have
when.
been. She was there during the war,
Okay.
and she said, "Why did you leave us?" And I'm like, I couldn't answer. I didn't know. I wasn't quick enough with words to spell this out for her. And anyway, that ended up being a quite dramatic little thing. But then there was the we were being watched at this time.
Okay.
We were being watched, and there was too much being said.
So was this on the military side, or on the U.S. side, or on the Vietnamese side?
We're on the
Who
North.
were you being watched by?
We're on the North Korean side. We're on the not Korea. We're on the North Vietnam side.
And they were watching
because there's no South anymore.
Okay.
It's kind of like that got all spelled out. When that war was over, they eliminated the South,
Okay.
and pretty well eliminated them. Anyway, they took in. Sorry, I'm taking so long.
No, you're fine.
But they ended up at this point. Then there was a one guy set clear back off to the side, he had sunglasses on and everything, and we found out that he was presumably a Russian spy.
Really?
And it was like, you got to be kidding me. So we haggled him till he got up and left.
Oh.
Okay. And then that's what we would have done as U.S. soldiers at that time.
Okay.
And which consequently, he already had seen and heard too much. And
was it going to cause that lady any issues?
we didn't know. We didn't know that she was at fault, and there was another lady that was with us. We ended up. They took her back to a motel room, and stashed her with cash. As you would imagine that a lady could wear. She had on something like what you got on right now. And they put 35,000 in her, and that left her to fare for herself. She had to get out of there and had to leave, and we knew this, and that's why we gave them all the cash that we had.
So she had to flee.
She had to flee at that time, and
this is in 2005, just 20 years
ago. 2005.
Okay.
And this here was, at the time, we had heard that there was there was less than 10 churches in the country of Vietnam. Okay. 10 years later, there's a matter of close to 300 churches.
Wow. And you were part of that initiative?
And we ended up was a part of that first group, because this was all underground. And then afterwards, this was above ground. So consequently, we took in.
So, is there persecution of the church in Vietnam right now?
Pardon?
Is there persecution of the church in Vietnam right
Not
now?
now.
Not now. They're
Not
open
now.
to.
It's left kind of like they've just left it go.
Okay.
And yeah, and it's a very, they're all doing well as far as I know.
Okay.
I'm out of touch with
Okay.
them
Okay.
at this point. I've just been, since my stroke about 3 years ago, and before that,
Okay.
I've kind of shied away from it.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that experience. So, for young men and women that are serving right now, what advice would you give them?
Ah, I would say that this year is something that they need to do. They need to serve. They need to get out there and get around um, with the service, wherever the service is at. And and you never know when you're going to get into a situation like I got into with the Vietnamese, um, with the what was taking place
Okay.
back 60 years ago. I don't know how long ago it's even been.
Okay. Now, for people, my last question is for people that are not in service, but they're considering going into service, what would you tell them? What should they be thinking about when they're considering it?
Well, the thing of it is, you have no idea what you're getting into.
Okay.
People can tell you this, they can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Things change.
Right.
And which consequently, I would say that it is something that few people recognize the difference in, I want to do this, I want to do that. Um, this is something, as long as you're not, hooked down to something, why go forth and do so.
So, are you saying for those that are not married? Is that
Yeah,
your
I would recommend those that are not married.
okay?
Now, it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And this can be, this can be rough. This can be rough on the family. Um, I, yeah, I just, I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for a married couple, but
Okay.
to
Were
each
you
his own.
married when you were in service?
See, now you're gonna open a whole
No,
nother
no,
can of
okay.
worms, because yes, I was married
Okay.
and filed for divorce, whatever, and it didn't work out.
It because of your time in service?
No, it had nothing to
Okay,
do
so
with the
complete
service.
something.
Nothing to do with the service
Okay.
whatsoever. But it's just something that took place, and I had two boys at that time. Um, yeah, came home. One's right over yonder here,
Yes,
and
I had a chance to meet him.
and which it was just a different story.
Okay. Is there anything else that you think would be helpful for people to understand about how we can better honor our veterans, especially
Well,
here locally?
let me tell you, I came back from Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just kind of like I might as well have been that chair over there. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
totally unrecognizable. You know, I tell you that as in what I'm saying is, we did not, we got no recognition whatsoever,
Right.
and which we've since then, sure, we caught up with everybody. That's
Okay.
cool, but there was no good parade when we come home, nothing like this,
Right.
and in which I don't, hold it against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, I didn't even at, at, at the time of all this that was taking place, I didn't think anything of it. But then afterwards, I thought, gee, we didn't even get this, we didn't get that. And
Hmm.
it's kind of like, well, I guess that's the way it is.
Yeah. So now, just having that recognition, like people showing up, that's what would honor
Oh,
veterans.
yes, yes, yep.
Okay. All right. Well, Lawrence, it was a pleasure getting to know you and hearing a little bit more about your story.
Thank you very much.
All
And
right.
I could have filled in plenty of spots that I did not, but we cut you some slack there.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay,
All right. Well, have a blessed day.
thank you.